The President, please be seated. The court is now in session. Today's session is part of case file 002/1, and as scheduled, today the Chamber is hearing the testimonies of TCW 100. The witness was once summoned, and he had given parts of his testimony. However, the testimony session was not yet complete due to the health concerns of the accused, who had to be admitted to the hospital. So today, the Chamber continues to hear the completion of his testimony. Duc Parry is now directed to report to the Chamber on the status of the parties to the proceedings. Duc Parry. Good morning, Mr. President and Your Honors. All parties to the proceedings are present, except Mr. Nuon Chia, who is present in his holding cell due to his health concerns. TCW 100 is present, awaiting call from the Chamber. The witness has Mr. Mom Ratia as his counsel, and there is no reserved witness. The President counsel for Mr. Kyew Sompon, you may now proceed.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Good morning. Good morning, Your Honors, and good morning to everyone present in the courtroom. Just a very short comment to let you know that as of today, the trial is starting again. But however, we still are not availed of the grounds for your new decision on severance. And officially or formally, we would like to say this because this is something that we protest against, because we are obliged to start again with the trial without understanding the grounds behind your decision. I don't know when these grounds will be presented, but all I know is that the Kyew Sompon team must plead again this week for Kyew Sompon's release, and this absence of visibility on the way that this trial is going to be conducted is really something that disturbs us, and I wanted this to be said in public. So you shouldn't decide to start the trial over again, once again, without having all parties understand this, and without having all parties know in detail the way that you intend to conduct this trial and possibly the following ones. Thank you.
The President, co-prosecutors, you may now proceed.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, Your Honors. Good morning to everyone here present. I don't really wish to answer the Kyew Sompon defense right now, but what we would like to do, however, is to ask for clarification before we can proceed with the questioning of the witness regarding the paragraphs in the closing order that are considered as relevant for this trial. Yesterday we addressed the chamber via the senior legal officer, and we suppose that the relevant paragraphs and that were considered relevant in January when the witness was questioned for the first time, we suppose that the paragraphs that are relevant are still the same. But maybe for clarification purposes, we would like to know what are the limitations and the questions we may ask. Could the Chamber confirm that we're going to be working with the same paragraphs in the closing order which are relevant to this trial and which have been also confined by your new decision on severance? Thank you.
The President, the Chamber thanks parties who raised this concern, and the Chamber wishes to also inform the public and the parties to the proceedings that we still stand by the decision by the trial chamber that we uphold the severance matter concerning case file 002/01, and we wish to also confirm that this severance order now also include the crime site of Tulpo Chirei. We hope that parties to the proceedings have already been informed, as we have enclosed in the appendix to the decision, so there is no change to such decision. The change is only seen in the factual findings of the decision, and also change may happen when the chamber needs to decide on how to proceed with the remaining matters. Council, you may proceed. Council Pekong, my sincere apologies to the chamber for being on my feet at this moment, but we have noted the emails by the prosecution concerning the subject matters for the future proceedings concerning case file 002/01. After Madam Ieng Thirit has been ruled unfit to stand trial, relevant paragraphs concerning her have been removed, and at the same time Mr. Ieng Sari has passed away, and there are also some certain relevant paragraphs that are relevant to him that have already been read out by the greffiers of the trial chamber. We would like to ask whether these paragraphs should also be removed, as they had been done in case relevant to Madam Ieng Thirit. Please, Your Honours, we would like to be well informed on this. The President, Counsel for Mr. Nuon Chea, you may now proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, Your Honours. Good morning, everybody in the courtroom. My question would be, would the trial chamber be able to give an indication as to when the written decision will be finalized, or is that very difficult at this stage?
The President, the Chamber wishes to make it clear again that we would like to stand by the decision concerning the severance with the appendix that have already been enclosed. We do not remember the exact wordings concerning the paragraphs part of the subject matter for this, because we scheduled to hear the witnesses who are supposed to appear before the chamber, and we proceed to hear them until we have finished their testimony. So we feel that there will be no impact on this as long as we continue to hear all the witnesses. And regarding the written decision, the chamber has made it already clear that in due course the chamber would be rendering that written decision, and we will do our best to make sure that the written decision is rendered. Nonetheless, we cannot really say at this moment that it can be done tomorrow, and as parties to the proceedings may be familiar already that the chamber has been doing its best during the very difficult time when we were faced by the budget shortfalls, and you may also be familiar that the national colleagues had been facing difficult situation, that they found it difficult to concentrate on their work without their pays. And recently this situation has been saved, so we will make sure that we are back on track after this, and we believe that there is a great possibility that this decision will be rendered very soon, because it has almost reached the very final stage where parties will be very well informed accordingly. And the reason that the chamber had to issue its oral decision is because we would like to make sure that we could proceed more expeditiously. Everyone in these proceedings is of the opinion that they would like to see the trial proceedings being more expeditious, and indeed the chamber has done accordingly. We have done our best to make sure that we proceed more expeditiously. And regarding Mr. Nguyen Chie, he has some health concerns as confirmed by treating doctors. He cannot remain seated for a long period of time because he has some back pain, and also he may feel dizzy while sitting for a long period of time. With that, the doctors asked that he be excused and be allowed to observe the proceedings from his holding cell. These recommendations are relevant to those of experts who gave testimonies during the current trial proceedings, Professors Campbell and Fazel. So in light of this, the chamber would like to allow the accused Nguyen Chie to observe the proceedings from his holding cell, and AV booth officials are now instructed to ensure that the AV equipment is well connected to the holding cell, and court officer is now directed to bring in witness TCW 100.
The President. Mr. Witness, are you Chom Sai? Response. Yes, I am, Mr. President. Question. Mr. Chom Sai, before you were summoned to testify before the chamber once, but it was not yet complete due to the health concern of the co-accused. Was that correct? Mr. President, I apologize. I do not hear your question very clearly. About over a month ago, you were summoned by the chamber to testify, but your testimony was not complete due to various reasons that the chamber could not proceed. Is that correct? Mr. President, I still cannot hear the incoming voice very clearly. The President, over a month ago, the chamber summoned you to testify before the chamber. Is that correct? Response. That is correct, Mr. President. Question. You may be well aware that today you are being summoned to testify to complete your testimony because your last testimony was not complete due to the frailty of the health of the accused and they could not participate in the proceeding. That's why the chamber postponed your testimony. And now the chamber summoned you to resume your testimony. You may testify to the best of your knowledge. Without any further ado, I will hand over to the relevant parties to put question to you. On behalf of the chamber, I wishes to remind you of your obligation and right as the witness testifying before the chamber. In your capacity as the witness before the chamber, you may object to any question or any request for your statement which may lead to your self-incrimination. In other words, you may exercise your right not to self-incriminate. However, in your capacity as a witness to this proceeding, you are supposed to respond to the question put to you by the parties or the chamber only in the case when you know that the question that you may respond may incriminate yourself. However, you are advised to respond to the question based on your personal experience or your observation of the event that unfolded at that time. So you should endeavor to respond to the question by parties and judges of the bench. We already advised you once when you came to testify before the chamber earlier on. Are you still aware of these rights and obligations? respond, yes, I am, Mr. President. The President, now I hand over the floor to the prosecutor and the lead co-lawyers for the civil party to put the question. I would like to advise the two parties that you have one session to put the question. So from now until the morning break, you may now proceed.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. With respect to the distribution and allocation of time, I will advise you that we will begin now at 9:30. I believe that we have at our disposal 1 hour and 30 minutes. We've come to an agreement with our colleagues from the civil parties that the co-prosecutors shall take up about 40 minutes and the civil parties shall use the remaining time for their questions. Mr. Witness, the last time we met, it was on the 11th of January, and you answered a certain number of questions. I would ask you today to answer the questions that I have for you in the most specific way possible in order to assist with the ascertainment of the truth. I know that there are some questions that may perhaps conjure some painful memories, and for that we do apologize. However, I do ask that you make your utmost effort in order to assist the Chamber. The last time you testified, you talked about your participation in the revolution and the fact that you were under the command of So Sarun within Division 11. You stated that you participated in the liberation of Phnom Penh and that along with your division, 801, you were transferred to the northwest near the end of 1975, and that near the end of 1976 you were appointed by Mr. Sao Sarun as the chief of the re-education center in Kanseng. You also confirmed that you received a certain number of confessions at Kanseng, and that came to you by various means during the course of your work there. This leads me to a subsequent line of questioning. You stated that the chief of Division 801 was Sao Sarung. That was under the auspices of Sector 101. Was Sao Sarun also the director of Northwest, and did he travel frequently to the center? Did he travel frequently to Phnom Penh during those years?
To my understanding, Mr. So Sarun was in charge of Division 801, and then in 1978, he was appointed on a temporary or interim basis as the chairman of the zone.
Merci. Je vais revenir sur.
Thank you very much. But my question was, during the time that you were the chief of the re-education center in Kanseng, as of the end of 1976 until 1979, was So Sarun absent frequently from the northeast zone, since he was the chief of Sector 801, and did he travel to Phnom Penh during that period?
Well, he frequently traveled back and forth from Phnom Penh to the northeast zone every year.
Est-ce que vous savez?
Did you know what he was doing in Phnom Penh when he traveled there? Did he ever talk to you about the work that he did there?
As for the decision at the upper level, at the commander level, I did not know because my position was down below, but following his meeting, he disseminated information or direction from the upper authority as to how we're going to execute the plan, so on and so forth.
Thank you. I'll return to that topic very soon. And when Sao Sarun was absent, did you have any means of communication with Sao Sarun? For example, did you send him reports or did you receive any instructions coming directly from him when he was located in Phnom Penh?
When he traveled to Phnom Penh, we did not have any communication with each other. Actually, he did not have many work to do with my section.
Thank you. You said just now that he relayed instructions from Phnom Penh, and each time that Sao Sarun traveled to Phnom Penh, would he summon or call a meeting upon his return from Phnom Penh in order to issue the instructions that he would have received from the center in Phnom Penh and from the leaders there?
Yes, there was. There was a plan from the upper authority, and it was to be disseminated to the lower levels, I mentioned earlier on.
Thank you. And can you please provide the Chamber details with respect to the plan or the instructions that he would have conveyed to you upon his return from Phnom Penh? For example, can you tell us what subjects he raised during the meetings?
I do not recall it well because there was a long lapse of time. But to my recollection, at that time we had to execute the plan to defend our country, as well as to try to increase agricultural production. In terms of protection, we are referring to the defense of our national sovereignty, particularly along the border between Cambodia and Vietnam. There were many issues along the Cambodian-Vietnamese border, and these were the issues that we had to pay particular attention on. And in the military rank, we had to strengthen our soldiers, and we had to be self-reliant in terms of food supplies as well. And as far as the serving of the people as well as the cooperatives, we had to support people as well as cooperatives. This was the two main tasks: defending our national sovereignty as well as building our forces and our force. And as for the security office I was in charge, we had to monitor the execution of the plan as well, and we had to train our people, and we have to strengthen ourselves with all the components to which we belong. We had to make sure that we work along the line with the orders from the upper authority, and we had to reduce conflict and try to expand friendship.
Thank you. And with respect to the defense of the sovereignty of the country, did Sao Sarun talk about external enemies, but did he also talk about internal enemies during the meetings? And what did he say about the external enemies if he did raise the issue.
Yes, that is correct, because in our work we also discuss external enemies, and internal enemy was also discussed. We had to take measures in order to handle the internal enemies. There were penetrating forces in our internal forces. They caused sabotage against our forces, and there were some opposing element as well against the political lines, and we had also deal with such situation.
Est-ce que vous avez
Did you ever have the opportunity to hold an individual meeting with Sasaroon and meet with him alone with respect to Au Kan Seng Detention Center, or with respect to the confessions that were extracted there?
Yes, there was. Whenever there was any issue relating directly to my office, particularly when he wanted to give a particular instruction or in-depth instruction, then I also contacted with him, and there were also internal enemy attacking from inside against Sector 801, and at that time he tried to draw our attention to that particular issue.
Thank you. And did Sasaroon ever tell you why the prisoners at Au Kan Seng had to make confessions, or why confessions had to be drawn from them?
Well, he wanted to know the report so that he could understand the overall situation. Now, for example, if there were internal enemies borrowing from inside, then he had to know at what level this enemy was. Was it at the command level, or was it only at the low file and rank level?
The question was inaudible for the interpreter. The co-prosecutor is requested to repeat his question.
Normally it was in the form of education and recorrection. We had to try to provide orientation to them. We did not arbitrarily accuse anyone of being enemy, and we were not allowed to exert any torture against the prisoner either. That's what we did when we were working at Au Kan Seng Security Center. The President, Counsel, you may proceed.
Mr. President, the question in English was never translated, so we didn't get the question.
And perhaps I'll repeat the question then. And the lawyer from the defense will know exactly what the witness was answering. I was asking if the witness had received any instructions from Mr. Sasaroon or from his superiors as to how confessions were extracted from prisoners at Au Kan Seng Detention Center. Mr. Witness, I don't want to return to this topic, but I will simply mention that there is some information that is contained in your in your written record of witness interview before the co-investigating judges in E3/405 with respect to those confessions, and you stated that when the prisoners refused to speak, under question and answer 10D 232/50. I'll move on to my next line of questioning. Mr. Witness, in January, you stated before this chamber, you also stated before the co-investigating judges, that at your detention center, you exercised no authority in order to implement any decisions, and that all decisions were exercised by Mr. Sausarun, whether it concerned the liberation or execution of prisoners. Is this correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Let us now turn to a few examples of Mr. Sausarun's exercise of decision-making power and his relationship with the center of the party. Firstly, I want to make mention of the case of the Jarai people that we were not able to address at the hearings in January. And, Mr. President, with your leave, I wish to place PVE 3/405 before the witness, and I would request that he look at response number 12. I will also take this opportunity to cite the other written records of witness interviews that I intend to present before the witness. If I may, thank you very much.
The President, you may proceed. Court officer, please obtain the hard copy document from the prosecutor and hand it over to the witness.
Donc, Monsieur l'huissier, c'est la réponse numéro 12.
Sir, I would refer you to answer number 12 in Khmer 00401-303, and which carries over to the subsequent page. Allow me to quote what you said before the investigating judges, Mr. Witness. And I quote, shortly before 1979, I saw the Jarai just near the Vietnamese border because they had entered the territory, and when the Vietnamese attacks, inaudible for the interpreter. This was why the frontline soldiers of Division 801 searched and captured them and brought them to the re-education office. These soldiers were the ones who captured them and transported them straight to the re-education and corrections office. The soldiers brought the prisoners in and left them at the office for only one night. They then took them and killed them during the night at pits inside the re-education and corrections compound. The orders, the decisions to do that, were orders from the zone chairman. But at that time, Ta Lav, the zone chairman, had discussed the matter with Ta Sao Sarun. End of quote. Mr. Witness, how were you able to learn that the authorities from the Northeast Zone had discussed the topic of the execution of the Jarai people with Mr. Tao Sarun? Who told you this, or how did you learn of this?
According to the statement you read out just now, it was the information that I learned through the working procedure. It was the working relation from one section to another, and they had to report to the command post. So we had to maintain this communication, and we follow up with the development of the issue. But as for this particular issue of the 100 Jarai who were captured, they were captured by the military, and it was the sole discretion of Ta So Sarun, because he was the commander of Division 801. They provided information to my section, and then we received those prisoners. And this particular story was related to many sections, and we had to accept these prisoners, and then we prepared the report accordingly. That was the issue around this matter at the time.
Merci. Avant de vous montrer un document officiel concernant ce type d'événement, est-ce que vous vous souvenez si parmi cette centaine de Jarai, est-ce qu'il y avait des femmes ou des jeunes femmes parmi eux?
The interpretation booth would like to apologize. We had a sound problem, and I think the sound is returning now.
Court officer, please check with the AV unit to make sure that the sound goes through to the interpreters, because it appears that there is an issue with the English channel. You may proceed, Mr. Prosecutor, if the issue is resolved now.
Merci, je vais la reprendre. Monsieur le témoin, est-ce que vous vous souvenez, parmi cette centaine, vous avez dit qu'il y avait plus de 100 personnes, est-ce qu'il y avait des femmes ou des jeunes femmes parmi ces personnes? Jarai.
May the co-prosecutor please repeat the question? We have sound now, but we only got the last half of the question.
The President, International Council, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Although I didn't get the question in English, I think I understood it in French. But I object to the question because I think the question is outside of the scope of this trial. We're talking about communication, military structure, but who were among the victims is at this stage in this particular trial irrelevant. That's why I object to the question.
Mr. President, I think that we should proceed in a methodical way. First of all, everyone should hear the question in English. I don't know if now the question is being interpreted, but the question was whether there were women and young women among the Jarai, people who coming from Vietnam who had been arrested. And to answer the defense's objection, in reality, we're going to show a document that describes Jarais who were arrested and executed. And in order to try to understand whether it's the same event that's being described, we need to ask a few questions to the witness before presenting him with the document in question. This is why we're asking him whether there were young women among these Jarai people, not just to know it, but it's to know more precisely whether it was the same group of Jarai people the witness spoke about, and that is described in a document that we will show to him shortly.
May I quickly respond? What I don't understand, Mr. President, is what's the use of adding the fact that potentially or allegedly women and children are victims? Maybe that is the case, maybe that's not the case. We're talking about communication. Let's just focus on that and the structure, not add, victims in the question unnecessarily.
Si je peux juste
If I may answer, well, in fact, the document in question, I didn't want to mention it right now, but this, in fact, is a telegram that was addressed to Bang by a soul named V from the Northwest Zone. And therefore, we're returning again to the communication system regarding an event that the witness describes. So this is why I'm asking him such questions. I'm trying to lay the foundations of a possible comparison with a document that describes the communication system existing within the Khmer Rouge between the center and the Northeast Zone.
The President, because this question is related to the scope, is related to the communication, thus the objection is not valid. The witness is instructed to answer the question put by the co-prosecutor.
Monsieur le témoin, donc la question...
Witness, so the question was whether among the Jarai who had been executed close to your center, were there women or young women among them?
Yes, there were.
You said that there were more than 100 people who were Jarai who were arrested. So was it a number between 100 and 200 people, or could this mean more than that even?
There were more than 100.
Merci, Monsieur.
Thank you, Mr. President. Now I wish to show to the witness and to display on the screen, with your leave, document E3/240. This is a telegram from 15 June 1977 that was sent by V to the respected Bang and copied to Om Noon, Bang Van, Bang Phon, Bang Kyu, Office and Archives.
You may proceed.
And to be perfectly clear, it is document E3/240, and there was a defective link in Xylab before, but we corrected this. So this is document previously called IS 21.20. That was the previous name. So I would simply like to read a few excerpts from this document. On the first page of the telegram, we see the following. If we could please display the first page in Khmer. So at point 1, the following is stated. At 9 o'clock in the morning on 14 June, that is to say 1977, the 801 production unit, permanently posted at 107, patrolled and arrested 209 Vietnamese soldiers, including 9 young women, in the vicinity of O Lac, which is about 4 kilometers south on Road 9. They were Jarai, mostly, who did not speak good Khmer. They were sent to the command post. End of quote, translation. A bit further, in the third paragraph, the following is said. In my opinion, these are external enemies that are penetrating our territory. And then further, at point 2, among the measures taken, it is said, finally, we have to extract information from them to understand their plan regarding those that are still hiding in the jungle and to understand their links. And below, I am asking for extra recommendations from Ankara. The production unit 801 is proposing an immediate and definite decision. I am waiting for your answer. End of quote. Quote translation. So, witness, regarding the content of this telegram, and in particular these 209 people who are arrested, which included mostly Jarai and 9 young women who were sent to the command post, does this information correspond to the group that you received at Okan Sang and that was then executed on site, executed by the soldiers who had arrested them?
The witness, please hold on. The International Counsel for Mr. Nunchia, you may proceed.
Mr. President, I object on the same grounds as before. It's perfectly okay if the prosecutor is asking a question about how the communication was done, but I really do not see the necessity to highlight the particular excerpts in relation to the killings. It's just a way to get into evidence things that happened at that particular center.
Witness, Mr. President, sorry. I don't have much time to put questions to the witness, so I don't see how this objection is going to add anything in relation to what was already said before. You already stated that the question was relevant because it was linked to communication. And if my colleague heard the last paragraphs I read, there is this so-named V mentioned who is asking the center for advice and who is speaking about a proposal coming from 801 for an immediate decision regarding the Jarai, and he's expecting an answer. This is a typical example of communication between the Northeast Zone and the center regarding important decisions that need to be taken. So, therefore, it is obviously relevant.
The President, the objection is not valid. The witness is instructed to answer the question put by the co-prosecutor.
Witness, I will repeat the question. So, in this document that I read out to you, describing 209 Vietnamese soldiers, including 9 young women, sent to the command post on 14 June 1977. Does this correspond to what you witnessed from this group that arrived at Okan Sang that had been sent by Division 801 and that you already spoke about before the investigating judges?
Yes, but the number 209 here is not true. Only more than 100 were sent to my section, and I do not know the name of the person we. This is what I can tell.
Thank you. And in this document, E3/240, it is stated that a definite and immediate decision was proposed to the center by 801 and by the Northeast Zone, but that extra instructions were expected from Ankara. So did you know if back then this practice of asking instructions from the center was something that was frequent on the part of Division 801?
Yes, of course. We have to communicate. If we do not communicate, we cannot lead the unit. This is what I can tell you.
Thank you. I am going to speed up a bit now, and I'm going to ask you a few questions regarding two other people in Division 801. You said that you had been a deputy commander of a company within Regiment 81 in Division 801, and you said that this specific regiment had been led by Keo Sarun until he was arrested in 1977. So can you tell us again, according to your memory, who replaced Keo Sarun at the head of Regiment 81?
The President, witness, please hold on. The co-prosecutor for Mr. Nunchia, you may proceed. The Council, I would like to object to the question by the co-prosecutor. I object to the question which led the witness to answer through conclusion. The previous question is related to the position of the witness. In fact, the witness is not the commander of the division. So please do not ask any question which is based on conclusion.
Mr. President, if I may answer, I'm not asking the witness to come up with his own findings. I'm just asking him if he knew only, because on 11 January he said that Keo Sarun had been arrested in 1977 and that Sarun was one of his superiors in Regiment 81. And so, of course, someone under him should know who is leading a regiment. So I'm simply asking if he knows who replaced Keo Sarun at the head of Regiment 81 once Keo Sarun disappeared. And Mr. President, of course, this is part of the questions regarding the military structure of the regiment.
The President, the objection to the question is not valid. The witness is instructed to answer the question put by the co-prosecutor. In Regiment 81, Division 801, after Keo Sarun was removed, Pao Som-on replaced him. Later, Hon, I could not remember his family name, Hon became the commander of Regiment 801.
Thank you, witness. Now, regarding this Sam-on, I would like, with the permission of the chamber, to display a document which is E3/1160, E3/1160 again. This is a report that was sent by Rön to Son Sen, and regarding this comrade Sam-on, and it is dated 30 March 1977. President, Do I have your permission to show him this document?
The President, you may proceed.
Merci.
Thank you. So before I put questions to the witness on the content of this document, I would like to quote two paragraphs. These are the two first paragraphs. The first paragraph in its a report coming from Rhön addressed to OM 89, and he says this: I am requesting the sacking of a certain number of cadres from the battalion. Indeed, these comrades are acting contrary to the line. The popular masses do not trust them, and education and re-education have no effect on them. They do not accept to amend themselves, and their prospects for change have regressed. So I am asking that we sack Comrade Sam On and that we send him to the office. And pursuant to Ankar's recommendation, I recommend that we ask Comrade Mao to replace him. So may please give us his decision regarding Comrade Mao. I rest on your decision. And in the next paragraph, it is said, in a few words, Comrade Mao deserves to become regiment secretary. End of paragraph. End of quote. Translation. So the question is, well, if the witness can look at the very end of the document, we see Rhön's name mentioned, and I think there's also a signature. So who is Rhön here? Is this Tasso Saron that you already spoke up before, or is this someone else?
The Council, I would like to object to the question. That document, which was provided by the co-prosecutor to the witness, I would like the co-prosecutor to ask the witness first whether the witness has seen that kind of document. If the witness has not seen such a document, please do not ask the question which lead the witness to answer based on his prediction or conclusion. Thank you.
Mr. President, if I may answer this, I know that the witness has probably not seen this document, but I am asking him questions on the successor of Keo Sarun, and he said that this person was Saron, and here in the excerpt I'm mentioning, once again, mention is made of Comrade Sam On, so I would like to ask him questions to understand whether it is the same person whom he already mentioned as being Keo Sarun's substitute. And all of this is part of the military structure and part of the communication system between the Office of Division 801 and the party center. So I would like the objection not to be sustained, Mr. President.
The Council, the witness is a low-ranking military officer. This letter, this correspondence, is for the high-ranking official. Based on my own conclusion, I am sure that the witness does not know about the letter. So if the co-prosecutor tried to ask the witness could not give the answer. The President, the objection is not well grounded, so it is not valid. The witness is instructed to answer the question put by the co-prosecutor. I want to give a short answer. Pao Som-on became the chief of 81, and later on Mao became the chief. This is true. The signature Ruan here referred to Kao Saruan. It was Kao Saruan who signed the letter. It was not So Saruan. Thank you.
Merci. Est-ce que vous...
Thank you. Do you know what happened to Comrade Som-on later on?
I did not know much about that because he was my upper echelon. When they did anything, they did not tell the subordinates.
Merci.
Thank you. And just for the purposes of the record, I'd like to mention that on the revised list of S21 that was produced by the co-prosecutor's office, his name is included at number 7,803. This is list E3/342. So, well, since I don't have much time, Mr. President, I'm going to stop here regarding my examination of the witness. And thank you very much, and thank you very much, witness, for his patience. And now I will let my civil party colleagues to proceed with the questioning. Thank you.
You may proceed. The co-lead lawyer. Your Honor, the lawyer who is in charge of putting question to the witness are Mrs. Chetwan Lee and Benny Ye. Your Honor, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and all the parties. Good morning, Mr. Chomsai. My name is Chetwan Lee. I would like to ask you some questions. You have answered many questions already. But right now, I would like you to give some more details. My questions are based on your answer given to the co-prosecutor. Document E3/405, document D332/53, and document E3/405 and document D369/8. I would like to ask for your leave to give some excerpts when I refer to during my question. So right now I would like to move back a little bit. Mr. Chomsai has answered many questions put by the co-prosecutor already. in your capacity as the chief of Organizing Center, and with regard to the plan to attack into Phnom Penh. So right now I would like to move back to your previous action, your participation in the movement. I would like to ask you whether you have attended any military training. Yes, I did. How long did you attend the military training? Mr. Chamsai, you attended the movement, the struggle movement, when you were 20 years old in 1970. Did you ever attend any military training at that time?
J'allais signaler, Monsieur le Président.
I was going to let you know that the answer was not translated to this question, but I see now that she's asking the same question over again. So I'll let her proceed.
The President, the witness, you are instructed to answer the question. And for the next question, the witness did not activate the microphone, so only both of them can hear. The voice did not get into the system. I would like her to put the question again, but the lawyer repeat the question. She said that we had short time. However, if we use the time in this manner, the time would not be used effectively. So please ask again. The Council, thank you, Mr. President. So I would like to move to another question. On the 11th of January, you said that your troop cooperated with Vietnam in Kampong Speu and Takao and Kampot. I would like you to clarify who provided the food and weapon to the movement. I do not need to give a long answer. Only the head of the movement could give detail. I was only an ordinary soldier. I could not describe what happened at the beginning. Thank you. I would like to ask you again. On the 17th of April 1975, you said that you received a plan to attack into Phnom Penh. Who imposed the plan and who led the attack? It was under the order of the commander. The South cooperated with the North. So Sarun was the commander of the division. Question. Besides So Sarun, who else did you receive the order from? Respond. She wanted to know about the structure. So under the division, there was a regiment, there was a battalion. So I could not describe all the commanders. This is what I can tell. Question. Who was above So Saruan, who gave the order to attack into Phnom Penh? The General Commander, Chet Chun, alias Mok. Question. When Phnom Penh was liberated, where were you stationed? And what kind of responsibility did you have?
Response. After Phnom Penh was liberated, my unit was stationed in the surrounding area of Sat Mai. Forces would then be assigned to monitor the location. Counsel, thank you. Were you in charge of evacuating the population out of the city? Response. Regarding the order to evacuate the population from the city, I believe that these orders were the blanket ones. Every city had to be evacuated, no doubt. Counsel, thank you. From whom did you receive such orders? Response. We received orders from different level of respective commanders. Question. Did you engage in meetings before such evacuations took place? Did the evacuation plan, were they discussed before Phnom Penh were attacked? Response. Plans were set up before they were carried out. Question. Were you convened to any meetings before such plans being carried out? Response. Each unit had different meetings, and we were obliged to disseminate the information concerning the plan to the other relevant sections. Question. Just now, you indicated that you were in charge of the location at Sat Mai after Phnom Penh was liberated. How many people were under your supervision, and what was your impression concerning the situation back then? Response. I was the deputy chief of the regiment, and we were tasked with protecting or defending the areas surrounding Sat Mai. After population was evacuated, we had to remain in the vicinity to make sure that security was properly installed and that we had to be tasked with looking after the area that had been conquered. Question: when you were at the Sa Thmai vicinity and you were in charge of cleaning the city, can you please describe to the chamber the evacuation plan? Were people evacuated by force or did they volunteer to leave the city? Response: whether it was a forced evacuation, I cannot say, because I personally feel that people were not forced to leave the city, because it took us 7 days before the whole population was removed from the city. Question: did you receive any resistance? For example, were you faced with remaining people who protested against such order? Response: in my unit, we did not face such ordeal, but in other units that was the case, because they had to collect arms from other people who had to surrender their weapons. Question again: were you attacked or fired at by people who did not want to leave the city? Response: as I stated already, the situation was calm in my area, no fighting, no resistance. Question: for those who would not like to leave the city and who could hide themselves in those buildings, what would you do to these people? The President: witness, could you please hold on? Counsel for Mr. Nuon Chea, you may now proceed.
Mr. President, I object to this question. The question is asking for speculation by the witness, and it's also hypothetical.
Counsel, Mr. President, allow me to respond to this. Witness had already said that he received orders from his superiors regarding evacuation of the city, and during the course of the evacuation, some people did not want to leave the city, and my question was very simple. We would like just to know what happened to those who did not want to leave the city. The President: the objection is not sustained. Mr. Witness, you are now directed to respond to the question just put to you by counsel for the civil parties. Response: I wish to say that people may protest, but that didn't happen at in my section, but it happened at other sections. But my belief is that when this happened, people had to be warned and asked to leave the city, and they would not be fired at. Question. Thank you, Mr. Witness. I would like you to also tell the chamber, during the course of the evacuation, did you see people dying or the sick, the elder people who had problem walking out of the city? Response. I cannot answer this question fully because I was not holding a higher position, and my task was rather broad, and I was obliged to fulfill my duty, and that's all I can say. Question. Mr. Witness, can you tell the chamber again, please, how many days did it take the units to evacuate all the people out of the city? Response. It took us about 7 days. Thank you. Question. Which regiment was in charge of cleaning the city, or were they backed up by other forces? Response. There were outside forces, but those forces were stationed at the outside of the city, and there were main divisions from the special zone who were in charge of monitoring the city. Question. I would like to turn your attention to O Konsang Security Center. You said that So Sarun assigned you to become the head of the security center of O Konsang. Can you tell the chamber, please, why it was you who were selected to become the head by So Sarun? Response. I find it difficult to respond to this question, but on the outset, when he was the commander of the brigade, he would like me working as his messenger. It was a kind of rapport we had built long ago, and he felt like having me as his messenger. He would like me to assist him because he treated me more like his brother or nephew in a sense. And I personally was seen to be having performed my duties very well, and I was very much liked and trusted by him because he noted I was a very committed person, and for that reason I can say that he chose me. The President, thank you, Council and Mr. Witness and parties to the proceeding. It is now appropriate moment for the adjournment. The Chamber adjourned for 20 minutes. The next session will be resumed by 11 o'clock. Court officer is now instructed to assist the witness during this adjournment. The court is adjourned.
សូមអញ្ជើញក្រោកឈរ